Do you know what is a high tide and a low tide? We know that the tides are rise and fall of water levels that occur regularly in the sea. As the tide rises, water moves toward the shore. When the highest level of the water reaches a particular location, high tide occurs. Low tide corresponds to the lowest level of the water. The rise and fall of water levels of a tide keep on changing. When the rise of water level is much higher than the average high tide, such a tide is known as a spring tide. As the bulge at the high tide is greater, the water at low tide recedes much more. The water level during spring tide is higher than the average high tides and lower than the average low. While some days, the water level rise is less than usual at the time of high tide. Similarly, the fall in water level is less than usual at the time of low tide. Such tides are called neap tides. As the bulge at the neap tide is smaller, neap tides are a little lower than the average high tides and a little higher than the average low tides. To summarize the topic, tides are the rise and fall of sea levels. Spring tides have higher high tides and lower low tides, whereas neap tides have lower high tides and higher low tides. How many tides are there in most places in a day? In next video.